Welcome back to the On Deck Circle podcast, brought to you by Fantasy Six Pack. I am your under-snowed host, Nick Zaniboni, with my very good cold host, Jason Beckner. How are you today, Jason?
You nailed it on the head, man. It's cold, just like last week. Just looking in the future, waiting for even just like 50-degree. I'll take 50 to 60-degree days. Baseball kicking up. Spring training's right around the corner. I just can't wait, man.
Yeah, man. I'm ready for baseball. My team's in the Super Bowl. That's cool. But you know what? After that Super Bowl is over, it is baseball season. And I personally cannot wait. And I also cannot wait for your answer to my cold open question of the week. Cold open because it is indeed cold in both of our climates. I'm gonna show a photo, which is something that I do pretty frequently here. This is my car under snow. It might be too bright. I think there's too much white going on. But my car is that might be better. That's it.
There you go. Yeah.
So we fully got plowed in. Unfortunately, we parked on the corner of a street. So the snow plow just pushed all that snow right up against that car. Jason, since you do live in a snowy area, much like myself, I want to know just your biggest horror story when it comes to shoveling, snow removal. Ideally, this doesn't end with like my uncle got his hand chopped off in a snowblower. But if it does, that's cool. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, Jason, what do we got?
Man, there's a lot to choose from. Any snow removal, I should say, is nightmare material when you don't have a snow blower, which I do not. I have a one-car long driveway, so it's not double, but it's a single wide driveway, very long. So any snow blower, snow removal is a nightmare story. But I think it was 2011.
Graduated high school that year.
We had a blizzard for the ages. I don't know. You probably don't remember because you're not from the area, but it stopped cars on Lakeshore Drive. People's cars were it was such bad traffic and there's nowhere to go. The plows could not keep up. Everybody was basically snowed in. Businesses, everything was closed for days until everyone could get snowed out. That was probably about the extent of my nightmare. I believe I thought it was 2011, but that doesn't sound, maybe it'd been like 09 or 2010, but in that range.
Yeah.
At the time we lived in a house where the garage was attached. So you could open the garage and the snow was like waist deep at least. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's my nightmare story. But again, any snow removal is a nightmare.
So this was the 8th biggest snowstorm we've ever had. Ever. In this history of Boston, Massachusetts. The final tally was just over 2 feet in 24 hours. It was something. So I live in a triple decker, which means 3 people, 3 different floors. I'm pretty sure that's a common thing.
Yeah, we call it a 3 flat here in Chicago.
Yes, sure, perfect. And it's me, my wife on the first floor, person on the second floor, then another couple on the third. They're young. They're not married. They're still children. It's fine. And I'm the person that shovels. No reason. This isn't like a, hey, Nick, can you shovel? It's I get up and I shovel. Just because, like, I'm sure you kind of grew up the same way. That was your job and your responsibility of I was supposed to go shovel. So you see snow, you shovel. So I'm just a designated shoveler. And so it's Sunday. Patriots game's on. I say, you know what? I'm going to go outside and shovel during the halftime just to get some up and not miss the game. It's like a good timing for it. So I walk my dog, bring her back in, and go back outside to shovel. My neighbor on the second floor decides this is the time she's going to shovel a bit. And she goes, "Are you going to come help me?" I said, no. So then I'm like, I got to stay out here as long as this woman's out here for. Missed the whole third quarter of the Patriots game. Luckily, game sucked.
Yeah, very boring game.
That's my nightmare. And most of all, there's a developing storm that's probably going to come here again Sunday. And there's literally no place to put this snow. I shoveled out my car, I just threw it right in the street. I don't know what to do.
Well, at least there won't be a Patriots game this Sunday. You don't have to worry about missing any of that game.
That's very true. That's a great bright side, Jason. Thank you.
Exactly. I'm here for the silver linings, man. All right. Well, this week we're gonna switch to baseball here. We're gonna continue our top 5 prospects. Go around the diamond here. Last week we did our first base top 5 prospects, sleepers and busts. If you haven't, go check that out. It's on the Fantasy Spec page right before this video. A lot of good insight. This week we're gonna be talking about middle infielders. I think it's easier sometimes. We probably should have grouped first and third, but there's a little bit of difference between those two. But we should have probably grouped first and third together. But here we are doing middle infield, group second and shortstops together. Kind of the same concept we did last week, and we'll continue with throughout this series. We're gonna run down our top 5, and then we'll also shout out one sleeper we're both talking about, and then also someone that we're fading or selling as a prospect as well. So without further ado, thanks to Nick, we also have another fancy dancy graphic here.
Yep.
Go ahead and bust this out here.
I don't like how high your Wetherholt text is, so I'm going to have to make sure that doesn't happen again. I apologize to the viewer for this atrocity.
Got to brush up on your graphic design skills there.
I do. Who would have thunk?
All right, you can see here our top 5, but it's a nice little list here, but I think it's better if we go through some of these guys. Some of them it looks like we have a lot of the same guys, just in different orders, some of them in the same order, but I think it's time, kick it off here. No shocker whatsoever. We both have Konnor Griffin 101, and that's mostly because he's also the top prospect in all of baseball. Really, really came into form this last year. A really nice first full season last year. He ended with a slash line of 338, 396, 536. So really, really close. 0.4 of a point off from that really sexy 345 slash line. 21 home runs, 117 runs, 94 RBIs, and 65 stolen bases, which is good enough for a 165 WRC plus. The power and speed are legit with Griffin. Just a really nice hit tool, approach at the plate. Keeps the strikeouts down. I mean, we might be looking here at the next generational player if he can continue to develop as he's going right now, because he looks all the part of the next generational player. Let's just hope Pittsburgh doesn't trade him away. But it's not much of a shock to see we both have Griffin at 1. But you got anything else to add?
Yeah, the gap between 1 and 2 is gigantic too. This is truly something that I'm trying to remember back. I think the biggest prospect in my lifetime before Konnor Griffin was Vlad. And I'm sure there's always going to be a number 1 prospect, but not every number 1 prospect is treated the same. This is that Bobby Witt was also kind of that type of hype, but Griffin is just an absolute stud. And I'm looking back, I'm in a 24-team league. I'm looking back at our 2025 first-year player draft, and Griffin went 10th. And do you know who picked 9th, Jason? Me. I picked Chase Burns, which again is not bad. But imagine saying that Griffin, your 10th pick, was going to be a generational talent and huge meteoric rise here. the numbers really do say it all. He's an absolute stud, and he's going to contribute everywhere. And that's like, we're talking like 30, maybe not 30, like 25 to 60 to 70 stolen bases. Like, that's crazy. high OBP. It's just, I think this is just going to be a can't miss guy. And I'm excited to see how that goes.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking something up here.
No, you're good.
I read the slash line wrong. He did have the 3. He did have the 3.45. I read it wrong. That was just a 1 year. Last year he slashed across 3 levels: 333, 415, and 527 with a 437 WOBA. So yeah, he did have that ever glorious 3.45 slash line that everybody strives for. Yeah, that's really exciting. That's really fun to look back on your FYPD and see that he went 10th overall. I don't think, that's not a fault of you. I don't think he was very high in that FYPD class at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's not like you can be blamed for missing out on him at 9. I think you said you got Chase Burns. So it's always fun to see guys take this next, vault. And also, not only that, but has all the size and makings of a just a beast of a player too. Stands 6'4", 225 at a shortstop. I guess it's to be determined if he stays there. Still only 19 years old too, which is another kind of a shocker.
Yeah.
Griffin 1-1 and the number 1 prospect in all of baseball.
Yeah. I'm gonna start off here with my number 2 and or number 4. Same draft class. He went number 5 in this draft. JJ Wetherholt. This is going to be a guy that I think is going to be a good to great real shortstop, and probably closer to just a good fantasy shortstop. He came out of West Virginia, had probably the best hit tool in the draft, and the Cardinals picked him. He's very high floor, kind of lowish ceiling, but again, if you can get 20 homers out of him, that's great. A lot of these guys are kind of fringy at shortstop and second base. Like, I would not be surprised if Wetherholt played second base. I would not be surprised if any of these guys played shortstop. Even Griffin could be in the outfield. Like, there's a lot of gray area when it comes to these positions, especially in the middle infield, because those tend to be the best athletes, especially at shortstop. So you can kind of like plug and play where those fit. I think my comp here is Dansby Swanson with a little bit less pop, but with a better OBP. And I know Dansby Swanson plays for the Cubs, but in general, Dansby Swanson was once upon a time the first pick in the draft. He was fine. He's a good, solid player. If he's your fantasy shortstop, that's a set it and forget it type of guy. And that's kind of where I see Wetherholt here, is just that mold of he'll be a shortstop, he'll be good for 10 years, and then it'll just be kind of it.
Yeah, I mean, just to pile on here a little bit, because I have him at 4. Again, one of these things that when I was making this, top 5 list for this middle infield, is this not necessarily second base. There's a couple second basemen, but the shortstop position right now, prospect wise, it's usually always stacked, but really so right now. I think probably like, I don't have it off the top of my head, but like of the top 10 pipeline prospects, I think like 6 of them are shortstops.
Yeah.
And even furthermore, 3 of my top 5 middle infield prospects all came from the 2024 draft class. That's Konnor Griffin, Wetherholt, and Bazzana. Wetherholt, I don't even remember, but 2024 was one of those draft classes where like there was a very subjective class. Nobody was really standing out at the 1-1, and Cleveland ultimately went with my number 3, Bazzana. But there was talks of Wetherholt going 1-1, having a really solid, college season in 2024. So Wetherholt is nothing to shy at. Definitely has the makings of a really nice player. Awesome hit tool. power speed combo. Definitely can go 2020 the major league level. He basically almost would have gotten 2020 last year, but he, in the minors they don't play a full season as they would have in major league. In 109 games, so 408 plate appearances last year, he had 17 home runs and 23 stolen bases. And don't look now, but the trade of Arenado has just freed up a spot for Wetherholt. So I would not be shocked if St. Louis, they have Mason Wynn at shortstop right now. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see Wetherholt slide over to third to start the year. And they may even, if he's a strong spring training, could even make the opening day roster. We'll see if that's true or not. I know St. Louis is, basically in rebuild mode. So they may not rush Wetherholt just yet, but maybe after that Super 2 deadline, you'll see him maybe like, late May. But I think we definitely see him in 2026 at some point for rebuilding St. Louis. Really solid approach at the plate, good discipline. Makes a lot of good, solid, loud contact. Really like Wetherholt. Again, struggled with this whole list. You could interchange these guys 1 through 5. Other than Griffin, we'll go 2 through 5. Any of these guys you could have switched around. It's just kind of like personal preference, and like all prospects, it's very subjective. But I have Wetherholt just a little bit down further at 4. With my second guy, it's a little bit more of I don't want to say a stretch, but there's a lot more unknown with May just because he's still only 18 years old. I have him my number 2, but I mean, talk about a rise up the rankings after being signed last year. Had a really nice last 2025 season. Still only 18 years old. Switch hitter. In 2025, he slashed 285, 379, 413, 6 home runs, 40 extra base hits. His biggest upside with like most of these guys is the power speed combo. He already has the speed. Speed is something that you don't need to, you're just born with speed. You don't get taught speed. He had 47 stolen bases in 2025. The power should also continue to develop. Still a little bit more of a smaller frame. If he starts to mature and develop and kind of fill out his frame, get a little bit more bigger and stronger, I could definitely see upsides of 25 to 30 home runs with those 20 to 30, obviously it's hard to say, but I definitely see 2020s in his future, maybe even 30-30s. We've seen Milwaukee develop these international prospects, Jackson Chourio being one of the ones most recently, and missing almost the whole, pitcher and hitter development in Milwaukee has been, they're a small market team, so they got to do what they got to do with their prospects, and they've proven over time that they can develop these guys. May looks like another one of these guys along the lines of like these international prospects that they can develop, and I'm really excited to see what May does this year and continuing to go and being only 18 years old and seeing where he goes from here. But I think the upside with him with the power speed and the hit combo and the switch hitting, that's why I kind of have him bumped up a little bit here to number 2. I know you have him at 3. Is there anything else you want to add about Jesus Made?
Yeah.
How do you know how you say it?
I just say Jesus, but
what about I'm not gonna know his last name. Is it Made? Made? I don't know. I know it's Jesus Made. I don't know. Made. I don't know.
Jesus made a hell of a baseball player in Jesus Made.
There you go.
Yeah, I was just looking at this list, and mine very much alternates as like safe, and then like made is volatile. Like he could be. This year he could get exposed and be a bum and be out of the MLB. But again, this is probably the second highest upside other than Griffin on either of our lists. Very much like a boom guy. And I think if everything clicks, I think it could be like an absolute superstar. And he's got swag to him. He's got a lot going for him. So I'm very hopeful for him. I will say that I picked him up in a league. I think he was signed, what year is it? 2026. So not this past, I think he was signed in 2024. And I picked him up that regular season and I cut him just because I was like, yeah, I'm good. So I did indeed cut him. So whenever I see him, I kind of just get a little bit upset. But I'm rooting for the player. I'm excited for the player.
Yeah, I mean, he was signed as a J15 signee in 2024,
Yeah.
and didn't even come stateside till 2025. So, obviously he was really good in the Dominican Summer League, but didn't really make rankings, and people jump off the page until 2025 when he came stateside, and had a hell of a year last year. So
Yeah.
can't really fault you for that, especially if it's like not a super deep dynasty. It's not that crazy. He's really shot up rankings after last year. Here we have a little bit of differences between my three and your four. Two different guys that neither of us have on our list, which is also great. Love the little bit of non-continuity. I'll go with my number 3 guy. That's Travis Bazzana. Talking about the 2024 class. Bazzana, that was the 1-1 overall. Coming out of after a really highly regarded season at Oregon State, where he had an 1157 OPS. He had more walks than strikeouts. Was about as close as you could say to a player being the 1-1 without, and it's like, it was a very subjective class, but there was always signs on the wall that Bazzana was going to be the 1-1. The only thing I have a little bit worried about him is last year, a little bit of a down year, battled injuries, banged up for a lot of last year with an oblique strain, which, as we know, oblique strains are awful for baseball pitchers and hitters. It's one of those nagging injuries that just bother you all year. So really excited to see what 2026 brings. If he's fully healthy, he still had a 389 OBP last year while battling injuries. But he's got a really advanced approach at the plate, doesn't chase pitches a lot, has a very nice, he goes up there and knows what he's doing. I'd like to say we see him in 2026 if he has a very strong first half of the season. My only problem is Cleveland just has like this bulk of infield prospects and infield position logjam that I'm not quite convinced that we do see him until maybe till like September of 2026. Unless of course injuries are, force Cleveland's hand to get him in the lineup. But I'm really excited to see what 2025 holds for Bazzana, and ultimately think that he, has a future here with the big league club sooner than later.
Yeah. I kind of toyed with him on my last spot as well for my number 5, but yeah, he's fine. It's so hard for me to get excited about second baseman just because it's just kind of like it's a nice to have a good second baseman. Like, but if Bazzana is Brandon Donovan, that's fine. Like he's gonna be a fine player. I don't think he's gonna be a absolute superstar, out of this world guy. Like I'd rather have Walcott, the guy that I'm going to talk about next, than Bazzana, just straight off of the upside. Like I'd rather Walcott flame out than have Bazzana, and he's just like a fine second baseman.
Yeah. Well, why don't you jump in it then?
Yeah.
We talked about May. We talked about Wetherholt at my 4. So you got Walcott at 4. What do you think about Walcott?
I went with Walcott here just because, again, I'm chasing that upside. I'm going to go ahead and say there's 0% chance Walcott plays shortstop. I'm going to put him at third base or a corner outfield spot. He's really just like an athlete. I will probably also say that out of the 5 here, he probably gets on base the least amount when it comes to the on base percentage. But you know who also doesn't get on base? Junior Caminero. Like that's fine. If you're hitting homers, that's fine with me. Walks or walks, whatever. I think I see 30 plus homers if the profile really like fits, and that's exciting to me, especially out of that shortstop position if he sticks there, even though he won't. Yeah, same kind of thing with Made. He might suck. He might not be a thing in a year, but he is one of those kind of like international guy that's kind of stuck around for a bit. I think he's going to be maybe not this season. Let me see what the ETA is. His ETA is 2026. Yeah, he's up at double A. Yeah, Rangers are also an aggressive team. So, and they're clearly going for it after we just saw them trade for Mackenzie Gore. And yeah, so I'm interested to see him this upcoming year. Also, like these guys like Griffin, 19, Made 19, Walcott 19. We've got the old heads in Wetherholt and Bazzana who are both 23, and I think McGonigle's honestly young too.
Yeah, 21.
Yeah, he's 21. Yeah, so it's definitely a list that I think if we looked back on in a year, I think we would look at this and I think we were going to be correct. I think that these 10 guys, not 10, but this arrangement of guys are going to be probably contributors this season other than Made, but like maybe they're super hyper aggressive on them. I don't know. But I'm excited to see what ends up happening for all of them.
Yeah, and then we kind of talked about them a little bit. We have McGonigle. I keep forgetting his name. McGonigle. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's one of those names I can't really pronounce that well, but McGonigle. We have them both at 5. What's up,
Kevin?
No, yeah, I just can't pronounce his last name. Kind of figure out how it is. Is it Made? Is it Made? What is it?
Yeah. I think we just call him his first name.
Oh, okay, yeah, that works. We both have him at 5. This is one of those guys where it's like he should be higher on this list, but the shortstop position, and then is for the most part is so stacked that I struggled to get him higher. But I would say out of the 5 that we've listed here, or 6 technically, 7, he has the highest floor. I feel like of these 5 of our top 5 that we have. The hit tool is unquestionably his main, calling card, and he's proven that over the last few years. My only concern is he plays at half his games at Comerica Park, which is not the greatest for hitters. You can kind of see over the past few years, we've seen some guys kind of struggle there. Spencer Torkelson, Riley Green himself hasn't really been that, lighting the world on fire. Is McGonigle the next guy that's going to kind of go there and play half his games at Comerica? We'll wait and see. The power will translate into at the MLB level, but the power is legit. The hit tool is legit. The upside, I just don't know if it was there, but I can get it. That's why I kind of left him at 5. I would not argue with anyone that said that they have him as their number 2 prospect or their number 3 prospect. I just feel like the floor for McGonigle is very high. And I think the outlook for McGonigle is very high. And if I was a Tigers fan, I would be very excited on the outlook for him going forward.
Yeah, complete polar opposite of Walcott for me. Just like the least volatile guy on the list. Him and Wetherholt probably. But yeah, I think he very much could be an all-star second baseman, and it would be fine. Again, as you said, if we were just doing second base here and we're honoring like the MLB pipeline of second base, I think he would be number 1. I think he's a great second baseman. But in general, he could move over to short. And if he's your shortstop, I'd be a little bummed in general, just because I'm kind of a snob when it comes to shortstops. I'd rather the boot, like give me a O'Neal Cruz over who's like a lame second base, a lame shortstop. That's not fun. Dansby Swanson.
Yeah. Like I said, McGonigle is definitely like, obviously we'll see how it translates to the major league level, but if you want high average, high OBP with like 15 home runs and maybe double digit steals, he's for you. I mean, I don't know, like I said, the power might be a little bit hard when you play half your games at Comerica, but I don't know if we get into that like 25, 30 plus home runs with McGonigle. I think it's more like in that like 10, maybe 20 at the top, at the peak. So it kind of limits the fantasy outlook for me on McGonigle going forward.
Yeah. Before we get to the next duo of guys, I'm gonna call on to our listeners / watchers, and I want you guys. So next week we're gonna do the third base show, correct, Jason?
Yep.
I want you guys to give us some ideas in the comments of some breakouts or someone that you are actively avoiding as a prospect for third baseman, and maybe you'll get on the show.
Yeah, love it. Comment down below with the we'll pick out some good some top. We'll pick out the top comment and we'll highlight it next week for sure.
Yeah, I'm with it. I love that.
Before we get into our our sleepers and our fades, I'd be remiss if we didn't shout out Fantrax. If you're looking to play fantasy baseball or even dynasty baseball, you need to be playing at Fantrax. By far the best platform to play fantasy and dynasty baseball on. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but they are top tier when it comes to dynasty, especially. Player pools unmatched. They probably already have. They might even have. I'm almost guaranteeing they already have this year's draft class, the 2026 draft class, in their player pool. Which I know some of these other platforms, CBS, struggle to even have top 100 prospects in their player pool. So if you're not playing on Fantrax, you're doing yourself and your league a disservice. Get on over to fantrax.com/fantasy six pack. Transfer your league, start a new league over there today. Before we get even further more to that, just on top of the Fantrax thing, it was announced this week the Fantasy Six Pack Series is returning. Get in on that. It's free to play. You get to, it's super fun. You get to compete against not only other fans, but you also get to compete against Nick, myself, other Fantasy Six Pack writers, as well as other industry fantasy baseball writers. Super fun. Winner gets the trophy from trophysmack.com. Again, free to play. Get on over to fantasy6pack.net. Look for that sign up today. Super fun. I need to get this hyped up, get these numbers back up for that. People returning for that.
Yeah, I'm ready to draft. I am so ready to draft.
Yeah, same. I'm, it's like it's still only the January, end of January, and I'm itching to get drafting. So
yeah.
Hopefully that'll start up soon here. We're about a couple weeks away still, but
Yeah.
All right, let's get over to our sleepers and our fades. First guy we're going to kick it off with is your sleeper, and that's Sam Antonacci.
Yeah, man.
Antonacci.
What I'm about to say is going to sound crazy. This guy is a great value brand, like Walmart's great value brand version of Mr. Kevin, who we just spoke about. He's someone that's not gonna get a bunch of hype, but I'm gonna read you some things here. He finished last season with a slash line of he hit 291, OBP of 433, slug of 409. That's fine. 48 stolen bags. Played in the AFL this past fall. Slashed 378, OBP of 505 with 3 home runs, 14 RBI, 15 walks, 11 Ks. He walked more than he struck out. Calling card for me. Sign me up. He's going to be on that, not Cubs, that White Sox team that has that influx of youth. We've got they've just signed the guy from Japan to play third. He's going to be playing second base. He's going to be getting on base in front of him. I think he's going to be a run darling, and I am excited about this guy just because it's one of those profiles, the Nick Madrigal. Like, this is Nick Madrigal if he could hit, but he can't. So he's out of the league. But this is just, it's such a small price. He's probably on your waiver wire, depending on your league size. I roster him in, I think, 2 out of the 4 dynasties I have. Excited to see what happens because, again, it's that second base profile of just the guy that gets on base. I think he's very much just going to be a not household name, a name to monitor throughout the season. And I think he's going to surprise some people.
Yeah. The White Sox are going to quietly, make some eyes peek up here. I think they're kind of slowly but surely making some moves here that we could actually maybe, I don't think in 2026, but, in the near future here, I could see them being a competitor in that AL Central, just because they made some nice moves, they made some nice signings. They've got a lot of these top prospects starting to pop up and make their appearances and their debuts at the major league level. So I think we could see some big things coming from the White Sox in the next couple of years, and maybe Antonacci could be right there with them.
Yes.
Well, this one's gonna pain you a little bit. I know how you hate talking Yankees prospects, but my sleeper is gonna be Dax Kilby. He was the Yankees' first pick in last year's draft. Really starting to make some climb up the rankings here. Had probably one of the better shortstop hitters in the 2025 class last year from a high school standpoint. Had a really nice debut for low A last year. He, only 81 plate appearances, so it was a little bit of small sample size, but he did steal 16 bags and scored 19 runs. Has a really nice hit tool, nice approach at the plate, makes solid contact, sprays the ball all over the field, goes gap to gap, doesn't strike out a ton, but it's really nice quality contact, gets on base at a good amount. And I think if he can start to continue to develop and tap into a lot of that raw power and build some more muscle and develop at a nice rate, I definitely think we can see 2020 out of him. I think it could be a really nice top of the lineup back, get on base, score a lot of runs, a little bit of pop. Kind of that new profile for this, second baseman, shortstop guy where just, like, I think of, like, I don't really like, I hate comping prospects, but maybe like a Nico Horner, something along those lines. Yeah. That's
no
comp when it's from my home team, but
yeah, I'm gonna lift up Dax Kilby by putting down Anthony Volpe. Fuck Anthony Volpe. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with Volpe. He's kind of he's okay. The hit tool has not been the greatest. Yeah. He doesn't hit for a high average, strikes out a lot. The power is there, and the speed can be there, but you got to get on base and stuff and to steal. So he might be the next in line for one of those 3 true outcome players where it's like walk, strikeout, or home run.
Exactly.
But this is not about Volpe. This is about Dax Kilby and prospects.
And we are in on Dax Kilby. Even I am.
Even Nick. True.
The stamp
Yankees prospect hater is in on Dax Kilby. So that should tell you all you need to know.
Exactly.
All right, let's get into our fades or our sells. Some guys were falling or fading here. Talk about your guy here. Roc Riggio.
Sick name. I will say that. 80 great name for sure. Roc's fine. I just think there's going to be a lot of hype because it's going to be like, oh, Coors, he's going to be a second baseman that's going to hit a bunch of old broads just playing at Coors. And I just don't see it. He doesn't get on base enough for me to warrant rostering him. Obviously, again, if you're in like a 24, 30 team league and you roster him, that's a good thing. But I'm mostly talking like a 12 or 14 setup. And I just don't think he's fine at everything, but he's a jack of all trades, but a master of none, or rock of all trades, but a master of none. Speed is, he's not going to steal you a bunch of bases. There's no true calling card for me. And I think the hype is going to be built around Coors. And like, how many times are we going to see a Nolan Jones breakout and then nothing, a Brent Doyle breakout and then nothing, a Ryan McMahon breakout and then nothing? I'm tired of Colorado Rockies, and I'm tired of betting on the field and the conditions because it doesn't seem to be working. And just I'm out on what people are going to say about him. I think he's probably a nice kid, but I'm out on the actual player in a fantasy aspect.
Yeah, it's. I mean, all you got to do is he was sent over to the Rockies, and I can't have any faith in the Rockies organization to, see what they'll develop their talent there. So I'm out on him as well. Let's jump over to my sell and fade. And that's someone that I actually was pretty high on about a year or two ago. And I think I'm out now. And that's Termarr Johnson of the Pittsburgh Pirates. 4th overall pick back in 2022. I don't know, maybe call it prospect fatigue or what, but he was drafted as out of high school, so it's not like was expected to make progress right away. But I think I'm just done with him on him. The past few years have not been that great. He is still only 21, but he's yet to advance past AA. He holds a 250 career batting average in the minors. The power numbers are just not where I thought they would be at this point. He only has a career 398 slugging percentage in the minors. The speed is there with back-to-back 20 stolen base seasons, but single-digit home runs in his first full season at AA last year. Down year in 2025. Again, not saying that he can't turn it around, and obviously progression and all that's not linear, but I'm out. If I can find someone that wants to take Termarr Johnson off my hands, which may be kind of hard to do at this point, but yeah, I'm out. I'm out on Termarr Johnson after being the top 5 pick a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's also hard. It's because you're like, he was drafted to high school. Who else was drafted to high school? The person that we gushed about.
Yeah, true.
The first 15 minutes of the show. But yeah, I believe so. Jason and I had like 3 teams got orphaned in a dynasty league, and Termarr Johnson was on one of those rosters, and he went late out of the 3 of us just picking guys. I'm pretty sure we even were like, we're all set. We don't even want any of the rest of these guys. And
Yeah.
Johnson was one of them. But yeah, he's fine. I do think the price is probably not high. So like if he's on your waiver wire, I'd probably add him. But in general, I don't think he's going to be anything that's substantial. I think he might be fine, but fine players don't win championships.
Yep, exactly. All right, well, that concludes our middle infield prospect show. Like Nick said earlier, go ahead and comment down below player you want to talk about. We want us to highlight next week on our third base show. Other than that, do you have anything else to add, Nick, before we get out of here?
I would say go Patriots, but I'll say that for next week.
All right, man.
See you, bro.